Good morning. So I'm here with Cyd Crossman, who's a somatic sexuality consultant living in northern New South Wales. And she's currently doing the introductory certificate in embodied counselling with me and has agreed to say a little bit about what that's been like for her and how it's been useful. Cyd.
Hey Deej, good morning.
Good morning.
So I think we're probably about 3/4 of the way through embodied counselling, and it's a very doable course in terms of the fact that I'm working and I've got kids and I'm doing all of that. So just in terms of practicality, it's been designed in a way that it's really accessible for me, even though I am busy.
Great, that wasn't intention, so I'm glad I achieved that bit.
But I just have to say, it's had the timing of it and the way it's structured and what I'm learning has had such a great impact on the work I'm doing. So I just really felt to share a bit more about that, because I always want to know how it's going to be useful. So
great, thank you.
Yeah. So I've done sexological body work, and I've done the somatic sex education on top of the sex bod work. So that's kind of my field, and I've always been very interested in sexuality in the body. So I've found Deej has given us this really great history of, this is just one part of it, but a great history in psychotherapy. So now my somatic work fits in, I can see how it fits in. And I knew a bit about Freud and I knew a little bit about this, but I didn't feel like, I kind of felt like there was a few gaps in my knowledge. So now I have this beautiful, succinct history of psychotherapy, which is really helpful, because now I see how important the somatic aspect is. And what I'm noticing, and I know all the mind-blowing reading material. I mean, I think Deej worked on this course for 2 years.
I did. I got 2 years of research and developed into it before I launched it the first time. So yeah, a bit went into it.
Yes. So for me, it's such a gift, because I'm getting all these amazing textbooks, and the readings are very specific. And I think as a neurosexual, it is really interesting, learning about the amygdala and the brainstem and the feedback systems, and because I want to work with the body. That's what's really of interest to me.
Yeah. So just an aside there, for those who don't know, neurosexual is a term we're using for people who find neuroscience so interesting and fascinating that it sort of turns us on. So we call ourselves neurosexuals.
Yeah, and also it's like interesting when you're with a client and they've mentioned something and you can say, well, actually, did you know that? And you can kind of give it a framework. I find that quite often works for people without going on with too much blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be thinking about all this stuff.
Yeah.
But really what's happened, the most profound thing that's happened for me is that I just feel way more confident with my sessions. And I used to kind of go in and think, I've learned all this stuff and I'm going to have to work it out and I'm going to have to know what to do. And now what's happened is, because a big part of embodied counselling is actually addressing your own embodiment, I've really taken that challenge on. So I guess now, because there's lots of little things that we do in there that we have to actually really address our own embodiment. And if I'm going to be an embodied counsellor and I'm going to work with people's bodies, then clearly I have to know and be able to regulate and see what's happening in my body in order to show up and be present for a client.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something, Deej?
Well, I was just curious about, over the last few weeks then, recommitting to your own embodiment. What are some of a useful piece maybe that's come out of that?
In terms of sessions or?
Yeah, maybe in terms of session or your own personal life. But yeah, I was thinking in terms of sessions.
Yeah, let's talk sessions. So now what happens is I sit in a session. I always give myself a moment before just to really come in and notice and maybe use a few techniques that I've been learning. And I don't have to work the session out anymore, which is hallelujah for me. Because what happens is a client sits in front of me and in their body is just so much information.
Mm-hmm.
And all I have to do is be present. Obviously that's a thing that you obviously get better with, as present as I can be, to be with that person. And then just the beautiful technique of getting them to feel into their body and start noticing what's there. And although it doesn't sound like much, it opens up so much information. And what I'm finding is clients are like saying things like, you know, if we just follow the body and we keep coming back to it, and they talk a little bit and then we keep coming back to the body, they're having like really extraordinary memories, and then we'll do some breathing and come back into the body, and then they're just saying things to me like, no one's ever asked me about this stuff. I think they find it very nourishing and intimate, and it's like, well, you know, so what's happening there? I noticed your hands were moving like this, and they go, I've done that my whole life. I've never thought about it, you know. And so the body is just, I've realized, is just this vast resource, and just to sit with it and just be really present. I don't have to do anything. And
I think that's part of why embodied approaches are really relatively simple in some ways, but can be very profound and very effective, because, as you said, you know, someone might be moving their hands in a specific way or never paid much attention to what they're feeling inside their body when they're speaking about a certain thing. And having that information, as you said, the body's an incredible resource to go hand in hand with what they have been practicing, which is thinking about it and speaking about whatever it is they're working through, really seems to have quite a lot of capacity to shift things for people and to empower people and to get people moving in directions that they haven't been moving in before necessarily. So, yeah, I think it's exciting.
Yeah, no, totally. And quite a lot of the clients that I see do have a narrative. They go somewhere and they sit and they talk. So they're quite interested in what happens when they have time and full intending to notice and observe what's going on in their own bodies. It's quite interesting what comes out.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. If you want to work with Cyd, she's an amazing practitioner down in northern New South Wales. Her website cydcrossman.com, CYD CROSSMAN, cydcrossman.com. If you want to do the embodied counselling training, shoot me an email, info@issaustralia.com. That's SS for Sally, not FF for Fred. Thanks, Cyd.
Thank you so much, Deej.
See ya.
See ya.